we have a theme here, which is this idea of the identity outside of any role. Something that we've pressed into, and it seems like we're all in alignment on, is that John would be John wherever John is. My wife also is the second, right? So she claims the identity of this thing that we've discovered. And she has been the executive chef at a country club, the pastry chef, recently graduated from a school for spiritual direction. She is the mother of both of our children, takes care of them, right? I work. She's interesting. But she is this thing, and she brings that to every single place that she is because she's bringing her to where she is. She's never been a second in command, not by title, but Samantha brings Samantha wherever she goes. As we're pushing into this idea of identity, something that came up like again and again was that it seemed like there was a big chunk of the community who would raise their hand and be like, yes, I identify with all of these things you're saying about a person. That's me. And then there was like this division. And it was weird. It was like almost like the tighter we got on the idea of an identity, the more that we found this rift start to tear apart. And actually, David and I experienced this thing. And so we finally were like, you're this thing, we agree. I'm this thing, we agree. We are wildly different. And it seems like people are starting to fall into your camp or my camp, but we're all under the same umbrella. What do we do? The language we gave it was 2 and then 2IC. Originally, we thought we were writing a book about how to do the best at like COO role. That's the title that we had targeted. And we ended up writing a book about identity. And then over the course of that, we felt like we found 2 different people. So I'm a 2IC and Dave is a 2. And Dave, could you just speak more eloquently than I can to the distinction?
So if you're a Venn diagram person, there's significant overlap between the two. So it's not like Nathan and I get together and just drive each other crazy. Just moderately crazy. Nathan and I often talk about second C in dominoes. We see in implications when you're raising a toddler and you're like, they start moving across the room and you're like, oh, I see this is going to happen. Yes, let's cut this off. We just do that organizationally. We see in systems, processes. I think a 2C's systems and a 2IC might really hold together in their mind systems of systems, right? They see across all systems a little bit better, a little bit differently. One of the distinctions that Nathan and I have found, we're both self-effacing. So you got to take some of our critiques of ourselves with a grain of salt because seconds are really critical of themselves. Typically, we call it knowing what 10 is, where somebody might come up to you and be like, Alec, you're amazing at being a second. And you're like, who's really good at being a second? Like, I'm an imposter. Like, if you really knew what was going on, if you knew Art or Jane across town, I couldn't tie their shoes. So we're pretty self-effacing. One of the things that Nathan will say is, I prefer processes to people. I don't want to coach people. 2s tend to coach people more. They really want to shepherd a team, gather a team. They're really good for culture at that micro person-to-person level. 2ICs are good for the organizational culture. They're good at setting things up and making sure people don't hit roadblocks, that people downstream can have good teams and good communication, things like that. That might be a gross oversimplification, but those are 2 things that I think about a lot when Nathan and I actually talk about rubber meets the road distinctions between 2s and 2ICs.